Hey, everybody, we are back. It's another Playful Humans podcast. I'm your host, Mike Montague with Playful Humans. You can find us at playfulhumans.com. We made it super easy. It's just Playful Humans everywhere you want to go. My guest this week is Melissa Dinwitty. Hello, Melissa's here, and she's from Creative Sandbox Solutions. Go to creativesandbox.solutions to learn more. She is impacting the world through play, leadership development, creating creative cultures, and all types of good team building and fun things that you can do with your company. So go check it out, creativesandbox.solutions, and we're going to find more. Here we go. All right, Melissa, we did it. We made it to the joke of the week. The joke of the week this week is brought to you by Podiums. I don't normally do personal endorsements here on the podcast, but I feel like Podiums are a product I can really stand behind. There you go. All right, the official joke of the week is, what do you call a bear with no teeth? A gummy bear.
Gummy bear!
Of course. All right. That'll get us started in the right mood. And now we get to get started with your favorite topic here, and just creating a culture of creativity. Why do you think it's important, and what do you feel like is the key here? What is everybody missing?
Well, creativity, the doorway in, first of all, creativity is so important because creativity is the doorway into innovation. And the doorway into creativity is play. And the reason that I discovered that, Mike, is because I used to be, before I became an owner of a consultancy and a facilitator and a trainer and an experience designer, I was a professional artist. Before I was a professional artist, I actually believed that I was a non-creative person. And I kind of fell into being a professional artist backwards because I actually was trying to be a writer. And after I graduated from college and I was looking for, now what am I going to do with my life? I thought, well, maybe I'll be a writer. I always got good grades on my essays in college and grad school. Why don't I be a writer? But suddenly there was a lot of pressure on writing. And when, great sheer genius, brilliance didn't flow from my fingers effortlessly, I believed this story in my head that, I just sucked, and therefore I shouldn't be a writer. When in fact, the reality was that I had a lot of fear. And also another reality is that writing and learning how to become a good writer of essays, a good writer of fiction, a good writer of anything is a skill. And you have to do it, you have to suck at it first. You have to do it crappy first. We need the crap to fertilize the good stuff. But I didn't learn that for another 15 or 20 years. So I spent a lot of time procrastinating doing the writing. And one of the things that I did to procrastinate was I started playing around with making arts and crafts. Now, I did not think of myself as an artist at the time. I was like, I'm just doing this thing because I'm too scared. I didn't think of it as scared. I was just like avoiding doing the writing. And some of the arts and crafts that I was making, again, I'm not doing art. I'm just like doing this thing over here on the side. And one of the things I was doing was paper cutting. And I would take these paper cuts into the art store to get framed, feeling like a fraud because, I wasn't an artist, so I didn't belong in an art store. But I would take my paper cuts in to get framed, and they would say, oh my God, these are beautiful. You should enter them in art shows and things like that. And I would think, I'm not an artist. What are you talking about? Anyway, I could spend hours making these paper cuts, like 6 hours would go by. I was in my 20s. I could spend 6 hours hunched over at a desk. I couldn't do that now, but at the time I could. And I started thinking about it and realizing like, this feels this is flowy and easy. And writing, I would spend 15 minutes and I would look up and think, surely 6 hours have gone by, but it would be only, 15 minutes and, there'd be nothing on the page. And I would spend 6 hours hunched over a paper cut and think, surely only 15 minutes have gone by, and look up and it's dark outside and 6 hours have gone by. So I decided to take a hint from that. Well, this was long before the internet. So it was not easy the way it is now to look around and see, oh, this person's making a living doing this weird thing. And this person over here is making a living doing this other weird thing. And it wasn't possible to just look around and have role models of people doing, making livings, doing all kinds of interesting, weird, artistic, creative things. So it didn't occur to me that it would be possible to make a living as an artist. But I thought, if I learned how to do calligraphy, then maybe I could combine that with the paper cutting, and I could maybe, address envelopes and fill in certificates. And maybe someday I could be a ketubah artist. Now, a ketubah is a Jewish marriage contract, and it's a niche market. Everybody who has a Jewish wedding gets one of these documents. So it's a real niche. And that's actually exactly what happened. I ended up becoming a ketubah artist. And for 15 years, that's what I did. And I also got very, very burned out. And I also got very stuck, so that during that time, the only art that I ever made was for clients, because I felt like I don't have time to make art for myself, just for the joy of it. So cut to 2010, and I was completely burned out and really unhappy being an artist. I was living the dream life, making a living as an artist, and very miserable. And I ended up kind of pivoting without realizing that I was pivoting. And I started a blog called Living a Creative Life, writing about my journey to live a more creative life, and discovered that what worked was coming back to being in the mind space of being a 4-year-old, which is basically playing in what I call the Creative Sandbox, and letting yourself play and explore and just make things for the joy of it. Now, this does relate to my consultancy, and I will explain why. Because I spent a number of years just writing about this stuff and making online courses to help other people get creatively unstuck. And during this time, I built an online business around this. And I also spent many years leading yearly creativity retreats, and realized at a certain point that's like my genius zone, is holding space for people and helping them, unleash their creativity, and leading teams and groups. They weren't necessarily teams, but leading groups of people at the time, it was all in person, right? And so I thought, well, where can I do this in a way where for clients who will have the resources to pay me and who will really appreciate and understand the value that I'm providing with leading people in play experiences to help them unleash their, step into a larger vision for themselves, and really unleash what's possible for them.
I love that.
What are the clients that can do that in the business world? There are the clients that have the resources and who I can really help. So that's when I pivoted to running my consultancy, and I think you can see a little bit of my book here, The Creative Sandbox Way.
Yeah.
That I wrote based on the 10 guideposts. Here it is, The Creative Sandbox Way, based on the 10 guideposts that I figured out to help me get past creative blocks, creative stuckness. And it's all about this mindset of being a 4-year-old, where you're really playing and exploring, and you're not creating, to impress other people or to make money or to win awards, but purely for play and exploration. And so really play is the doorway into creativity, and creativity is one of the most important doorways into innovation.
I love that, and there's so much there to unpack here on this episode. But let's start with the book a little bit, because the subtitle caught my eye of Your Path to Create a Full Color Life. What does full color mean to you? And it sounds like a coloring book. Are there activities in this book? What are we
Yes.
talking about here? Yeah.
Well, thank you for asking about that. Yes. Well, the book is only available as a physical book because it is actually, I call it an interactive playbook, because there's spaces for people to do activities inside the book. And it does have black and white drawings all the way throughout, made by me. These are doodles that I made over the course of a year or so, that I realized, oh, you know what, these would work great in the book. So people who are so inclined to want to color, there are coloring pages throughout the book, and coloring pages and parts of pages all throughout the book. This one says creativity is your birthright.
I'm working on something similar. I've seen other books, I think sometime between like a magazine style and then like a kid activity book. So, seek and finds and coloring pages and other activities. I think it's really fun. And adults miss that. I think so many people miss it when they're talking about play, even, that you're like, I don't want to read a really long, boring book with 30,000 words on research studies about play. I need to experience it a little bit.
Exactly. Well, and that's what this book is all about, experiencing it and getting people to actually do something to connect with the concepts in the book. So yeah, that's what this is really so much about. So yeah, it is an activity book that is designed to really get people unstuck through the process of working through the book. And so many people have written back to me and left comments in their Amazon reviews about how it's changed their life just like instantaneously, as opposed to some other books out there that might take, maybe it's a 12-week process to get through the book. And yes, it changes their lives, but it takes 12 weeks to do that. And this book is very fast to really
I found play can be really fast. So I wanted to ask you about corporate cultures too, because in creating a culture of creativity, it can be a quick change sometimes, and other times it can be a real struggle. There's institutional things set up or leadership that's really preventing your work from being a playful place in the first place, which is how we got here. So can you tell me a little bit about spreading this out to others? Because I love everything you said about, your journey and finding it for yourself. And then also we talk a lot on this show about discovering it for yourself and how you can do that. But we don't often talk about how you can spread that to others and lead a team or foster a culture of creativity.
Yeah, it's really been interesting, Mike. There are some companies that are, really good fits for me, and others where it's a bit of a challenge, and maybe they're not such a good fit for me. The leadership just doesn't get it, or they're just not ready for it, or they just don't resonate with this concept of play, or they're really in that place of play and work are opposite. And one of the things that I say is play is not the opposite of work. Play is how we make work more effective. And if people can't understand that and really resist that, they're probably not the right client for me. Because yes, I do educate as part of my work, but if they are just digging their heels in around that concept, then, it's probably not a good fit.
And when it is a good fit, what are the steps there? What's the process of finding more creativity in work?
Yeah. So, well, the first thing is to have a discovery call or a clarity call first, to see what are the challenges that people are dealing with. And then, we have an extensive call to go over all of that. And then I work with them. If we decide to contract, then I work with them to create, typically it is some kind of experience design that I create. So often for example, it might look like quarterly offsites that I create to do some. I find that really deep immersive experiences are really helpful to get people out of their day-to-day work, workday experiences, pull them out of that, have a completely like a retreat experience that's like a day long or a weekend if they're able to do that, and give them lots of play experiences that really kind of shake them up and give them a sense of fun and flow and something really different, and get their creative juices flowing and shake up the way that they interact with each other. And things start to really shift.
Yeah, I think that that's interesting. And I wanted to shift gears to something completely different because it seems like you have a lot of different ways to play. I saw in your bio the improvisational jazz singing as well. So what's the most fun for you? And you talked a little bit about when you were writing of like play becoming work and then not being fun. Have you found that balance, or do you still keep some things just as play, just for fun for you, and then what do you turn into work or try and leverage?
Oh, I love that question. It's so interesting because, you know, I started making art because that was my way to, procrastinate from the writing because there was so much pressure on the writing. Then 15 years later, or many years later, I came back to writing, and I started writing as a way to process what I was going through in my life, and it became something really fun for me. There wasn't any pressure on it. I wasn't trying to sell it. I wasn't trying to impress anybody. It was purely for me. It was a creative sandbox expression. And now the art that I make, I no longer make it for clients. I've made that separation between art and commerce. When I started taking music really seriously and really diving into music, I started taking jazz singing lessons and performing as a jazz singer. I wouldn't say that there was a complete separation between art and commerce because I did get paid, but I made the decision that I didn't want to make my mortgage be dependent on my music because I didn't want to put that pressure on it. So I wanted to keep it for my own enjoyment. And at a certain point, like I did play a couple of weddings, and I realized that I didn't enjoy that so much because the client was really determining what kind of music I was doing, and it became less fun. And at a certain point, the jazz singing gigs that I was doing started to become less fun because I noticed that I was singing at bars and restaurants and cafes, and nobody was really listening. And here
Yeah.
I was, telling these stories in song, and I was also starting to write my own material. And my songs are stories, they're funny, and they're stories with music. And it's no fun for me to be wallpaper, for me to be musical wallpaper. And so
Right.
I actually put music on a shelf it was like 8 or 10 years because it just stopped being fun for me. So that, it's like that question, like, is there pressure? Am I feeling pressure that's making it not fun? Is something else making it not fun? Like, that is such a huge question for me. Is it fun? Is it not fun? If it's not fun, why am I doing it? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
All of that. So you think I mean, obviously, I think we both enjoy what we do, but it sounds like maybe I have two questions here. One is when you get burnout, you may just have to set it down for a while and rest, or come up with some sort of pivot. And then it also seems like you tend to you're not afraid of that though with your work, that you do want to do work that's fun. And if you're getting paid to play with other people and these workshops and stuff that you're leading, that's something that's still fulfilling, even though it is playful and you're getting paid to do that. So
Yeah. Well, and
there's a sweet spot there too.
yeah, there's a sweet spot, and it has been an issue for me throughout my career as with my consultancy, because one of the tools that I use is graphic facilitation. And I contemplated really pursuing the graphic recording route, the visual capture route, where whether you use pens or digitally, you somebody who does this, a graphic recorder or a graphic facilitator, captures the proceedings, whether it's a conference or a meeting or a speech or something, rather than just taking notes in text. Text takes notes with images and graphics and also words. And that's something that I got very passionate about practicing and learning. And with my background as a calligrapher and as an artist, I was having a lot of fun learning how to do this skill, which is really hard. It takes a lot of intense concentration, and it's less about art than it is about listening and attention and being able to put information on a page in an organized way. And and the clients tend not to care as much about the art side of it as about
did you capture the main points and tell the story?
Did you capture exactly. And as a perfectionist, as a recovering perfectionist, I tend to get like very wrapped up, like, oh, does it look good enough, and that really, I went through a lot of struggle, internal sort of emotional mindset struggle around, is that something I want to pursue, because of the baggage that I have around art and commerce and the separation of those two things. And is this going too much in the direction of being an artist on commission again? And so that's been very interesting. And I don't completely have that resolved, I have to say.
No, and I think they go back and forth. I think sometimes people struggle because they think it has to be one or the other. It has to be work, and we got to be professionals and buttoned up and serious, and we can't be playing around here. We got real work to do. Or they're like, oh, it has to be my art, my voice. It has to be playful. I can't get paid for it at all. It's something we do on the weekends or retirement and stuff. And I think that creates a lot of problems for people. I've been lucky enough in my career to do a lot of things that are playful and both. And I want to have fun with the work, but I'm also like you, that I'm recognizing I kind of have two parts of my personality. There's like the high performer, like type A personality that wants to, be liked and get good grades and make a lot of money and be successful. And sometimes that is like pushing and can be a little toxic itself when taken to extremes. And then there's also this playful side that wants to goof around and make jokes and be the class clown and do something artsy and for myself or be independent. And those don't marry well together sometimes. So I think I've noticed in my own life that I just need to balance those, that I work full-time as a sales trainer during the day, and I do this podcast on the side, and I do game shows at night. And when I do both, I'm fine. When I do one or the other, then I get into trouble. I get into burnout situations or stuff where I'm not feeling fulfilled. How do you balance the personality side of things too with all the stuff you're doing?
Oh, I love that question. Well, first I have to say that I really resonate with just having to balance all of it, because, and as somebody who identifies, I call myself a passion pluralite, otherwise known as a multi-passionate or a multi-potentialite or a Renaissance soul. I have so many interests, and I also get bored easily, and I just I do music for a while, and then I'm like, you know what, I'm tired of this, I want to do art. And okay, I'm tired of this for a while, I want to make paper flowers, and now I want to go back to my music, and now I want to, I've always wanted to try taiko drumming, that's sort of the joke. It's like, what are you going to do next, Melissa? I love a learning curve, and especially when it comes to creative things. And so how do you balance that? And for a while, many years ago, I came up with my concept of the stovetop model. And I think I was literally in my kitchen when I came up with this concept. When I think I had signed up for a couture sewing class. I I had picked up my viola for the first time in 28 years and was getting back into that. I was doing my calligraphy, and there was something else going on. I can't even remember what it was. And I was like, oh my God, I can't do all of these things, but I want to do all of them. And I suddenly had this kind of, well, at first I thought, well, I'm just going to do one. I'm just going to do one. And I thought, no, that's not going to work. I'm not going to be happy. Well, maybe I can just do two. And then I looked at my stove and I thought, I think maybe 4 areas of adoration is about right. You know, if you think of the average, not the high-end stove, you know, not the like gourmet stovetop that has like 6 burners or whatever, but the average plain old-fashioned stove, it has 4 burners. And there's a reason for that. I mean, if you imagine a stove with 20 burners or 100 burners, no cook would be able to manage all those pots, right? But 4 pots, you can manage that. You can have, you know,
I
spaghetti
like that.
boiling in the
Yeah.
back and some stew or soup simmering and something else in one of the front burners. And then the front right burner of my old stove in my old apartment was the high speed burner. And so that was where all the action was really happening. You know, I'm making an omelet or sauteing something or whatever. That's where the main action is happening. But you can have 3 other pots going and you like stir here, stir there, right? So that's kind of my metaphor for life.
Yeah, I like that.
You can kind of have that. And what I really love about this metaphor is that you can swap those pots out at any time. And not only that, you can take a pot off the stove and put it in the fridge. You can grab something out of a cupboard. You can take something out of the deep freeze and put it on the stove at any time. And I really like this because what happens with people like me who are passion pluralites, who have lots of interests, is we tend to very easily get paralyzed because we think, well, if I choose something, that means that everything else has to go away forever. But that's not true. And when you use this metaphor, it makes it so much easier to say, well, for now, I've got this thing on my front right burner, but I can move that around on my stovetop at any time, or I can put it in the refrigerator and grab something else and put that on the stovetop at any time. And it just frees you up. So
I like that. I like that a lot. I've always kind of thought of it as like scouting merit badges or collecting skills or tools for my backpack that I'll just go off and I'll go do something if I want to learn how to, build Lego or do something. I can nerd out on this for a while, and I get to keep that skill and bring that with me in my backpack, but it doesn't mean I have to use it all the time going forward or do it forever. I can just go on these little missions and learn something and then move back. But I like yours better too, because we do rotate those, and sometimes I need to spend more in one or the other. But I love it. Once again, we're talking with Melissa, and it's Dinwiddie. You can go to creativesandbox.solutions and find more about what she has going on. And don't forget to check out the book as well, The Creative Sandbox Way. It's behind her there. She'll hold it up. And are you ready to play a game, Melissa?
Oh, always.
All right, here we go. We're going to do something fun. This is the Do Something Fun deck. It is available if you go to playfulhumans.com/sponsors. I'm just going to flip the deck here, and you say whenever you want me to stop.
When?
Ooh, okay. Quickly show us 3 objects of 3 different colors in your space right now.
Okay. All right. I've got gremlin.
Nice. Finger
puppet from my creativity retreats. I've got purple calligraphy brush pen, and I've got a red
I love the emojis. Yeah.
emoji
For virtual events. That's awesome. All right. Spinning for me now. We'll just stop here. Try to kiss your knees. I think I've had this one before. It's not easy. I think I'm too big and old for this now, but I can kind of get to the end. I challenged my niece this weekend to do that, and she can actually touch her kneecap. Okay, another one for you. Say when. Oh, I feel like this year improv singing. Sing about the clothes you're wearing to the tune of Happy Birthday, if you can.
Oh, linen jacket from Quinn's, red t-shirt from Prana, khaki pants from Vader Brand, and running shoes for my treadmill.
Wow, that was the perfect challenge for you. I can't believe we did it. That was awesome. All right, I hope I don't get one that challenging at all. I feel like we just nailed it and we should stop there, but I gotta return. Okay. Oh, that's the ones we just did. I've done that one too. All right, I'm just gonna have to pick one here. We're going on the bottom. We're going to make 5 animal sounds. That's the first one I haven't done. Okay, this is good. I love the cow goes moo, the dog goes woof, cat goes meow, and the duck goes quack, and of course, everybody's favorite. What does the fox say? Bing dong ding ding dong ding ding. That's awesome. All right, Melissa, thanks for playing along. You did it. You win the game, which means a free 30-second commercial for you here. Anything you can do to help us or anything we can do to help you?
Whoa, free 30-second commercial. Oh my gosh. I was not prepared for that. Oh, well, come check out my book, Creative Sandbox Way. You can find it at, I think you can find it at creativesandboxway.com. If that doesn't work, go to melissadinwiddie.com/CSW-book.
Awesome. Nailed it. Thank you so much for being on the show. Again, I'm Mike Montague at Playful Humans. You can find us at playfulhumans.com. There's a personality quiz. If you want to find out what one of your 10 personalities you have that you can play with, go to playfulhumans.com/quiz. Melissa and I check off like maybe 6 or 7 of those 10 boxes. So you don't have to pick just one. You can have multiple. And there's a burnout quiz there too. If you're feeling a little cooked this time of year, you can find out whether you're well done, medium rare, where you fit in on the burnout quiz. Playfulhumans.com/quiz. We'll see you next time.
Live for today. Keep on chasing the sun.